Settling is not something that you are, but it is something that eats away at your life.
Your dream life doesn't usually die because you weren't talented enough. It dies because your environment has trained you to play small.
People might miscategorize this as fear or laziness, but what this all is you drew up a conclusion sometime about what you believe you deserve, and then all your decision making started to revolve around that conclusion.
And so you never move unless you receive a very certain moment, one that allows you to go. And life only rewards movement regardless of how you feel.
And until you understand where that conclusion comes from, all or most of your decision making is going to continue to eat away at your life, a little at a time.
Like the second you decide that like game on, okay, universe, you want to play this game, like two can play at this game, the second that you decide to throw it down on the floor and be like, that's it. Time is not linear. When you decide to lock in, that is when the games begin.
And it shows up in your bank account. If you're employed, it shows up in the salary that you do not negotiate for. If you are an entrepreneur, it shows up in the pricing. The most dangerous part of where this shows up is in the things that you start and never finish.
You will never act inconsistent to your programming. Confidence is the byproduct, not the foundation. Confidence is a result of you keeping the promises that you made to yourself. It is literally, if you go look up what confidence is, it is trust and competence.
When I started my first business, people were continuously asking me for discounts. And in my heart, I knew that I'm not a discount kind of girl. Like,
I'm a woman of standard.
But I didn't have the language to communicate that.
Real self-esteem does not scream, it stands. And sometimes, most of the time, it stands the fuck alone.
Like, I was very fresh in entrepreneurship. But now when I look back, what I would say to that girl is that having boundaries is a form of self-love. And when you can communicate your boundaries, you are communicating to people your standard and your worth. And boundaries are the things that are going to protect you from a life of deterioration. But
what happens when the threat is you?
When you grew up in a house where you're surrounded by people with low self-esteem and enforcing boundaries is not a normal thing, you don't understand that standing up for yourself is actually good. So instead you grow up thinking that when you stand up for yourself, you're going to be hurting other people's feelings.
People say to me that like my story is sad, like what I had to go through to become successful was kind of sad. Just like being homeless for multiple years, and like I don't think people realize that that's actually the biggest blessing when you are coming from nothing, is to have that hard story. Not only because it makes you stronger, but mainly because you really do learn that something can feel like it's drowning you in the moment, but it's literally just teaching you to swim. Like when you have that rough start, that rough, hard start, you learn that nothing is really that bad and you're gonna survive. I've been homeless multiple times. I've been working multiple jobs. I've had a hard time before and it didn't kill me. It taught me to swim. It can really feel like the end of the world, but it's just not. It's just not the end of the world. Easy times create weak men, and hard times create strong men, and it's just the truth.
This reminds me of abundance mindset and scarcity mindset, right? When you have a growth mindset, you are okay with enforcing a boundary and letting that person leave because you know that you are talented and what you have is of value and the right people will find you. As long as you keep doing your work, the right people will always find you. But when you're operating from a scarcity mindset, you generally believe that the person that is in front of you, the customer that is in front of you, feels like that will be the only customer that you are gonna ever come across. So whatever they want, you need to give it to them.
Most people don't know this, but if you have low self-esteem, that's because somewhere along the way, someone taught that to you. And so if you had somebody in your environment that was putting you down, that you had to be perfect in order to get their attention, that you always felt like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I get them to love me? Then you start to create these core beliefs about yourself. And those core beliefs start to become ingrained in who you are, and that's where your low self-esteem comes from. Which is why if you really want to heal through this, we have to start by validating your experiences.
If you think about something very specific, about the last time you were offered an opportunity, whether it is a salary, whether it is a client coming to you, whether it is you setting a price, and you knew in your heart that this is a very low number, did you communicate that, hey, I think this is a low number? Or did you find a commonsensical reason, logical reason as to why putting up the price is not quite the right move right now?
Confidence is a leaf, a branch on a tree. Self-esteem will be the root of the tree. It's the reason why that tree, what that tree grows up to be, that kind of thing, right? So I'm gonna say this because y'all can't beat me up. People with low self-esteem don't always hate themselves. Every time somebody say you got low self-esteem, you automatically go to, oh, I like myself. Yeah, but you don't fucking trust yourself. And it shows. I can look at some of y'all digital marketers, whatever the hell y'all want to call yourself, and look at y'all prices, and I can tell that you don't trust yourself. I seen a girl sell a mentorship for $27 yesterday. There's no fucking way.
But when you do that, it's called a settling reflex. And a lot of women are scared to admit that they wanna make money, that they want money, that they want wealth. And that thing of being scared to say, I am here to make money, that thing is holding a lot of women back and is keeping them in the space of settling.
You are not on trial in your own life. Don't allow your life to become a court with endless judges and juries that are constantly telling you what you're worth, what your value is, who you should be. It's really important to have a strong sense of self and be rooted in yourself and have some self-respect. You are the authority on you. You do not have to justify, explain, rationalize everything in your life. Yeah, religion teaches you to surveil yourself. The other people in your congregation have permission to surveil you. You are encouraged to surveil other people and their behaviors. It's a cultural thing across the board that women are always on trial. Are you good enough? Are you meek enough? Are you obedient enough? Are you cooperative enough? Are you feminine enough? Are you good enough?
If I look at how I grew up, my parents didn't have a lot of financial literacy, and it is because of the environment that they came from. And I am in a fortunate space where I was curious enough to consume as much information as I'm still learning, by the way, but for where I am right now, I'm very happy with where I am right now. Of course, we can get a little bigger. But it's because I was curious enough to dive into the boring books and read and watch YouTube videos and just consume information about financial literacy. The core theme about financial literacy is your self-worth. You need to be honest with yourself and say, ek want the money. So now, if you drew up a conclusion a long time ago from your childhood or in your teenagehood or wherever, a full stop was put in your mind, a truth was put in your mind, especially if that conclusion was drawn from a place of high emotion, like trauma, for example. A highly emotional situation created an incorrect conclusion that feels like truth, that sets a standard for yourself, that tells you, this is my level, and a person like me cannot pass this level. Or a person like me, if I pass this level, I'm being a little greedy. Hey, the righteousness level. You want to be the good girl.
Being a good girl never sat right with me, because you mean to tell me I play the game by your rules and I still lose? See, that's the thing about a game. You got to read the fine print. You are guaranteed to lose yourself. The amount of self-sacrifice and self-abandonment that is required of women in order to flatten themselves into this one-dimensional being. The performance as a good girl, although grandiose, you are guaranteed to lose you. This is why I much prefer and dare to be a dangerous and powerful woman, ungovernable, self-possessed, and self-contained.
Think about how you learned that a hot stove was dangerous. You didn't need nobody to teach you the physics and the mechanics and the science and the biology about what happens when heat gets into contact with raw skin. You just needed your body and your emotions to have that experience to realize that that is not a safe thing to do. And that kind of update rewires your brain permanently. So when you grew up in a space, or when you're exposed to a space where you want to charge this and somebody says you being greedy, you being selfish, because they themselves also have their own experience that have calibrated their sense of what they believe that they deserve, right? But when they said that, emotionally it triggered you because that was not your intention. You just thought that this was a good idea and you got the heat for it. That is something that you need to recognize and remember in your memories, that this is the situation that happened that made me have a baseline that is very low, or made me nervous for demanding more.
There's no point in you speaking so damn highly of yourself, but still decide to live beneath your standards.
And sometimes it's not just one moment. Sometimes it's an accumulation of moments that set that baseline to be very low, because people like you, right? People like us, they don't escape this. It's very impossible because of the systematic, you understand? The peak English. If you're very educated, your education can actually rationalize you into decreasing your baseline because of a desire to want to be good.
But it's important when you're smart to build the ability to work. So many intellectuals are being lazy right now. more people would rather critique a thought than have thoughts of their own. A lot of people are using their intellect to find out ways to be lazier rather than using it to become better. And many don't have the confidence to apply themselves, and that is why they do this. And they may blame it on burnout, the fact that none of this really matters. But for many people, it's none of those things. It's just laziness.
It's a very scarcity mindset. You don't test the boundaries, you don't push the limits. You take yourself out of the game before participating. And that is not a discipline problem, because people who usually do this are very disciplined. Because how are you getting yourself in the room in the first place where you can negotiate your salary, where you can offer a service? It means that you're disciplined. You are not unaliving anybody by sharing your standard and what you believe that you deserve, because the fact that you're in the room in the first place means you understand the mathematics of what it takes to offer your service, or the amount of work it took to become the person that you are so that you can be an incredible employee. You are scared to find out what is on the other side of that interaction, because when you have an abundance mindset, you'll understand that because I am valuable, I'm gonna find another. There are 8 billion, I think it's 9 billion now. I don't know. There are 8 point something billion people in the world. You will find somebody who fucks with your ting.
Scarcity is so sneaky that it makes you think it's just about money. Scarcity convinces you to delay every decision until you feel safe, but then safe never comes. If you wait for certainty, you'll wait forever, because certainty only comes after the experience. Scarcity makes you say yes to those little things you know you don't even want, but every fear-based yes lowers your standards. Every time you settle for less, you teach your brain to stop reaching for more.
You will find somebody, especially if you're doing all that you can, you're gonna find somebody who fucks with you. Sorry. If you don't think that you're gonna find somebody who's gonna baby, it's best to reframe the story that you tell yourself about what is on the other side of the ask. Instead of being scared of it, it would be helpful to think of it as a challenge, as a game, as something that can enhance and advance your life. You need to imagine the standard of your life increasing, and having to increase, must increase. And for the standard of my life to increase, I gotta have these uncomfortable conversations. Because one thing, the pressure here is not going to be decreasing, it's going to be increasing.
Exactly.
If you do not address where that conclusion comes from, your body is going to live in that state, and it's gonna F up your bag. It's gonna F up your life leveling up. It's gonna cost you in ways that you cannot even imagine, because you don't know what lives on the other side of that ask.
Invest in exposure. Anytime you see that your life is just operating around a cycle, break that cycle. By breaking, I'm not saying fight anybody. Don't break friendship, but introduce a new detail, something that gives you an exposure to a higher way of life. If not, if you stay in that clique alone, after a while, the clique will form the basis of your exposure. You can't think beyond that clique. So there are times where you spend money to see what is bigger than you. When you now come back to where you are, restlessness will be inside.
That is the thing about when you come from a place where you don't make a lot of money, you think everybody's not making a lot of money, and it skews how you see the world.
Just because your parents did not set you up to become wealthy doesn't mean you can't still become wealthy. There are 2 things you need to focus on: letting go of your limiting beliefs, letting go of your scarcity mindset. And number 2, you need to increase your proximity to wealth. You can read books by successful individuals. You can understand how they built their businesses. You can understand how they built their career in order to set them up on the path to become wealthy. You don't want to read books, you can listen to podcasts.
People are out here making money. They're making hundreds, thousands, millions of monies. The market is there and its pockets are deep. And the people who use their own personal life experience and use that as a filter to judge and form a conclusion about the world, they're the ones most likely to undercharge when they enter a market. The programming that they carry in their minds, they're like, oh, but people who work hard and have discipline don't charge a lot of money. That skews their perception, because they saw daddy work very hard and get paid a little. So now they're like, oh, I'm gonna work hard and get paid a little, because the market that is around us, the environment that is around us, nobody got the money to pay us. Their body absorbed that kind of environment, and their body taught them to believe what worth means. All of these in your mind are going to sound like rational decisions. But together, when you connect all the dots, it is a poverty mindset. And what is so sad is when you're inside a poverty mindset, you are still working hard. You are not dumb. The decision making that you're making feels smart. It feels practical. It feels grounded. It borrows the language of wisdom to support limitation.
Scarcity in time. If you keep telling time that you don't have enough of it, you'll prove yourself right every second, every minute, every hour, every day.
It calls itself patience. It calls itself perfectionist, but it's the language of paralysis. It calls itself humility. It calls itself being good. It calls itself being for the people, but actually it's the language of fear. It calls itself being reasonable, being realistic, but actually it's the language of, hey, probably this is not meant for me.
You need to immerse yourself in the culture of wealth. And I'm not talking about manifestation. I'm talking about watching these luxury lifestyle videos to see how your nervous system reacts to it. Do you feel uncomfortable? Do you feel unworthy? Or do you feel right at home? Because doing this actually allows for you to prepare for when your life actually changes.
I need you to think about the most financially successful person that you know, not a social media person. Think about how they ask for the things that they want, especially things that are a little extravagant. When they're buying a house, how do they speak about that? When they think about buying a car, how do they speak about that? When they think about buying land, how do they speak about the things that are slightly a little bit too much? The rate that makes you wince, the ask that feels bold, the no that they say to something you would have said yes to. Probably you might call that confidence, but that is not confidence. That is a body that has collected a different set of evidence, and the evidence that it has collected in multiple experiences, multiple scenarios that they felt in their heart is that asking for what I want is the right thing to do. It's the normal thing to do. It's not about being special. It's not about being brave. It's just normal. And that normalcy, that recalibration, that acclimatization, once you stay there, it's better than any strategy that you'll ever learn because it'll open more doors for you.
Because of neuroplasticity, every time you speak poorly about yourself, even if it's just as a joke, you are carving neural pathways that tell your brain, I am an incompetent piece of... Over time, your temporary social shield becomes your permanent self-image. Worse, it even completely changes how people treat you. At first, they might laugh and feel comfortable around you, but eventually human beings subconsciously align their respect for you with the respect that you show yourself.
When you entered Earth, you were a blank canvas. So this thing of you settling is not something that is inherently in you. It's something that your environment, bred and marinated into you.
What makes it hard to get better is that you are hanging around people who, like, let's say you are an alcoholic. You hang around people who drink, and let's say you want to stop drinking. Those people want to bring you back in. Like, I used to be this guy who wasn't worth anything. Now those people who are still there 16, 17, 18, 30 years ago, they're trying to get you back there. So the hardest part, you got to see who you're hanging out with, man. You got to hang out with the people who you want to be like the most.
Yeah, people will definitely drag you down.
They'll drag you down.
And especially if you're around someone who makes a lot of excuses and they're always failing. Those is just like, they're the opposite of inspiration. They're like a vacuum.
This kind of environment is an environment filled with people that you love, but their relationship to ambition, their relationship to success, their relationship to money, the language around all of that is one filled with fear, limitation, holding yourself back, all of that wrapped in love. And there you were as a little baby, fresh from the universe, marinating in all of that. But luckily, we are conscious human beings who can make decisions, who can choose certain actions. When you can allow and let the things that were once dominant before stop being dominant from this moment forward. And if you're not aware of that, you are going to sit in that marinated sauce of limitation for the rest of your life. Before Skims, there was Spanx. And the lady who started Spanx, her name is Sarah Blakely. And she became the youngest self-made billionaire in American history. She says that every single night at dinner, her dad asked her the same question. He asked her, what did you fail this week? If she had nothing to report, he was very disappointed because failure meant that at least she tried something. Week after week, dinner after dinner, as that question was being asked, she was being programmed. He was teaching her nervous system to keep reaching, to keep trying. And failure shouldn't be pedestalized as something that is like, no. Failure is something that you need to experience and just toss it to the side. It's just part of the experience. She did not become a billionaire because she was the most talented. She became a billionaire because she had the mindset of a trier and a trier again and a trier again. If this kind of content is landing for you, please subscribe. Ask for more before you feel ready. Even if your voice is shaking, even if you don't feel comfortable saying it, maybe say it in an email, maybe say it in a DM, maybe say it in a text. If you are comfortable with the number that you're asking for, you're not asking high enough. Stop performing for poverty. The way you talk about money in public, the comments that you leave under people's posts, the jokes that you make about being broke, the pricing that is shaky, the language that is signaling you're part of the poverty crew because you want to fit in.
What's not clicking?
That is submitting evidence. You are submitting evidence to yourself that I'm still here and this is where I belong. Every single time you perform scarcity, even if it is a joke, your mind, your subconscious mind is taking a note. Your environment, whoever is listening, is taking note. You have to have the certainty of somebody who has decided that this is what I want. Charge the number that makes you slightly nervous. We're charging it because we know this is the right number to charge. Charge it without apologizing. Charge it before people, because when people are like, block out that noise, charge it and move on and continue with your life. And watch what happens when the world just agrees with you. How come, when I go to Stanton, especially end of the month, outside of Louis Vuitton, there is usually a line snaking outside that store. First of all, I'm not a line kind of girl. I would never stand in a line that snakes outside of a store
Hello, you in Hakkasan. I'm a woman of standard.
But there are people out here who are willing to stand in a line to go spend 40K, 50K, 100K. So you telling me you can't charge? You can't put an extra zero on your shizers, on your shashizers, on your chuchuzas, on your product, on your service? You telling me you can't put an extra zero? When the people were standing outside Louis there in a line for 30 minutes to go spend 80K? The idea of standing outside of a line to spend more than 20K, 30K don't make sense to me. But here are people, if people can do that, if people think it's rational to do that, then it's rational to up your price, babe. Beliefs are things that can be updated. The low ceiling that was given to you because of your environment, it can be raised. The thing that you need to do is to just question the ceiling, push against limiting beliefs. And the most powerful way to push against the limiting belief is to act. The moment you forget to question these low ceilings that are handed to you, well, good luck.